zucchini fritters. These zucchini fritters are full of flavor, and they're also vegan and gluten-free and only made with a few simple ingredients and just a few easy steps. The ingredients we'll be using today are, of course, zucchinis. We're going to be using coconut oil. We're going to be using, for seasoning, onion powder, salt, and also some garlic powder. A little bit of baking powder to help it rise, and then also almond meal as a nice gluten-free flour, and nutritional yeast, which will give it kind of a nice little cheesy taste. This is a really good vegan alternative for cheese. And make sure to check out the link in our bio for more information on nutritional yeast if you're not familiar with this ingredient. Okay, so I've prepped all my ingredients, and I've also prepped the zucchini. So for the zucchini, and you can kind of see what it looks like in here, the first thing I did was I used a food processor to grate it into really small pieces. I did pretty fine just because that's the blade I have for my food processor, but you can also grate these into kind of more thicker grated pieces if you like that texture. And then what I did was I put a little bit of salt on it and I let it sit for 10 minutes. This helps remove the excess water from the zucchini. And then I literally just picked it up by the handful and squeezed out the excess water. So that's just, it gets the extra moisture out of the zucchini. So that was the first thing I did, and now I'm gonna go ahead and add all my dry ingredients. So first I have my salt, my sea salt, I have my garlic and onion powder, my seasonings, and you can also use like fresh garlic and fresh onion powder if you don't have, or fresh garlic and fresh onion if you prefer. Then we have our nutritional yeast, which again I mentioned gives it kind of this nice kind of cheesy flavor, even though it's a vegan ingredient. And then my almond meal, which is my favorite gluten-free flour, and you can use other nut flours. You can also make your own. If you don't have almond meal at your house, you can literally put almonds into a food processor and pulse until it's really fine and flour-like, and that's the way that you can make your own almond meal really easy. And then last we have our baking powder. So we have all the dry ingredients in. I'm gonna go ahead and just stir this to start to get it to mix together. And then last but not least, we're gonna add our coconut oil, which will help bind it. So we're using unrefined coconut oil today because this is, I personally like unrefined better. It's less processed, but it also has a more coconutty flavor. So if you don't like, it'll be really subtle in this, like once it's baked, but just keep that in mind. If you really don't like that kind of nutty flavor that coconut oil gives, then make sure you're looking for refined coconut oil, but my personal preference is unrefined because I like things as minimally processed as possible, and I really actually enjoy that kind of nutty flavor that it has. So I have these, my batter all mixed together. It's kind of formed a dough. And the next step is we're just gonna form them into our little fritters and then put them on a baking sheet. So, you can kind of pick and choose exactly what size you're gonna do. Just make sure they're kind of consistent. I do about half a cup's worth of batter, and you just kind of roll it into balls, and then you're gonna put these right on a baking sheet. I also have my oven preheated at 400 degrees. So you'll wanna make sure the oven is ready to go. We'll get these on a baking sheet and then we can start to bake them. Okay, so I went ahead and made my fritters. I put them on my sheet and then I went ahead and patted them down so they're flat. So you can notice mine are big. I like my fritters big because I almost like eat them as like more of a kind of like a patty. Like I like to, and I also like to give them to my daughter. Like she can hold that, like she can take a whole one and kind of eat it herself. If you are like serving these more as a side dish, kind of like a little appetizer, maybe make them a little bit smaller. But again, totally up to you on how big you make them, and just keep an eye on them when they're in the oven because sometimes size will affect the bake time slightly. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the oven at, we're gonna do 400 degrees and we'll do them for about 20 minutes. We'll make sure to keep an eye on them, and I'll show you them once we get them out. So we got our zucchini fritters out of the oven. They smell amazing. We did 20 minutes on one side and then went ahead and flipped them and did about another 15 minutes. You know they're done when they're a little bit brown on each side, so that's what to look out for. Just a quick note, these are a bit more delicate than if you were to make fritters with eggs, because they're the vegan version. We found them to be a little bit more delicate, but they're still just as delicious. So for full details on this recipe, check out the link below. It'll give you everything you need to know, and I'm gonna go ahead and give these a try. I can't wait, they smell so good. Oh my gosh. They taste better than they smell even. They're incredible. I can't wait for you to try them. Make sure to subscribe if you want more simple, easy, healthy recipes. Let us know what you think of the recipe.